cup in this paten, vessels with which we will celebrate the sacrifice of Christ's new covenant. May they be sanctified, for in them the body and blood of Christ will be offered, consecrated, and received.
It really started with my little brother, who was in his religious education class, and he didn't stop crying the entire hour of religious education. And so the next week I came back and I asked the catechist, hey, do you mind if I stay and help? I began to teach and I began to help, and people began to ask the question, have you ever thought about becoming a priest? And of course my response to them at that time was absolutely not.
My parents actually have a big role in my vocation. They're very dedicated to the church. In Vietnam, we have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to Mass before we can head out to our normal routine.
It was attending a silent retreat in college during spring break. And in the midst of the world, I really wanted to venture off and escape with the Lord, because at that time, I actually initially wanted to become a doctor. The last day, after receiving Jesus in the Holy Eucharist, we have that time for contemplation, and I literally heard this voice out of the blue, I guess in my prayer, and the voice said to me, will you tend my sheep? Will you feed my sheep? And will you lead my sheep?
Dear friends, I welcome all of you to St. Vincent de Paul Parish for this presbyteral ordination of Deacon Henry Garcia Cuellar Jr., Deacon Andrew Young Kim Din, and Deacon Paul Michael Piega. We see today a beautiful way how the family is the foundation of every vocation.
I feel like the Lord is closer to us because of my son. He's right there close to the door of the Lord.
No es un camino fácil, es un camino difícil. Pero mi hijo es muy buen muchacho y yo lo veo que él está entregado a Dios. Y por eso estoy tranquila, estoy en paz.
One occasion that really stuck out to me, and I think gave me the motivation to apply, is when I had silent time in the Adoration Chapel to see whether you want me to do this or this is what I want to do for myself. So I pick up a missalette, and then I start reading the first sentence. This is from the Lord, not from man. I think God spoke into my heart and said, this is what I want you to do. Then that's God give me the motivation to do it, because I never think that I could do this.
I'd said, God, you know me, and you know who I am. There's no way you're calling me, And I said, listen, if you really want me, you have to be very upfront with me and be very clear with me. And so we went to Mass, and the gospel was where Jesus says, like the physician is for the sick, I am for the sinner. And at that moment, the tears began to flow, because I realized that at that very moment, God was saying, I love you. I love you, and I'm inviting you to this relationship with me.
To me, it was such a special day, considering that my father was unable to be there.
As much as my dad wanted to be a part of this big year between Paul Michael's ordination and my wedding, we actually lost our father this past February.
We miss my husband, and we'll be so happy and if he's by our side, at the time, but I know he will be there in spirit.
Here I am, laying down my life, giving all to God, giving my whole self to God. And it was immediately after we prayed the Litany of the Saints and the prayers of bless these chosen men, bless these holy men, I started hearing my Father's voice saying, I'm so proud of you. Good job. Today's the day.
Pray for us.
Holy angels of God.
Pray for us.
Saint John the Baptist.
My mom and dad have always been very faithful Catholics, and they were always committed to one another. And so for me as a priest, watching them share that love and that commitment really is a great example for me, as to what God is calling me to. the church is my bride, and I have to be committed to her and faithful to her, and I have to really, truly provide for her children.
The root of love that God built in family life into my priestly life, I think that's the key for me.
Kính mến Chúa nhiều hơn để cầu nguyện cho con tôi. Hàng ngày tôi lại đọc kinh mến Chúa nhiều hơn để cầu nguyện cho con tôi nhiều hơn nữa.
To be able to bring Jesus and have God working through me, to bring His body and blood to His people, to feed them, to nourish them in many ways. Not just physically through His body and blood, but as well as spiritually through His Word. So it's just been such a joy.
To be a priest now is amazing. It is so awesome. I wake up in the morning and first thing I say is, my God, I cannot believe that you've actually brought me to this place. It's not something that I earned. It's not something that I deserve. It's something that He's given me. That He, out of His tremendous love for me and mercy, has given me this great gift, right? And really, the only way that I can repay Him is to be faithful, to be a faithful priest, and to truly minister to God's people.